IELTS Listening 10 Tips. Examiner approved listening tips. IELTS Listening 10 Tips. You sometimes see it is said that all you have to do with the listening paper in IELTS is to practice, that there aren't any particular skills to learn. I disagree profoundly. There are not just definite skills to learn, there are also, I will suggest, very definite ways in which to practice. Here are a few of my suggestions. IELTS Listening 10 Tips. 1. Read before you listen. Predict the answer. 2. Read as you listen. Focus on the whole question. 3. Look at two questions at once. 4. Don't leave the writing to the end. 5. Practice your shorthand. 6. Numbers and names. Check your spellings. 7. Don't write the answer too quickly. 8. Don't leave any blank answers. 9. Listen for repeated information. 10. Look for clues in the question. 1. Read before you listen. Predict the answer. One difficulty in the exam is that you're not just listening but reading the question and writing the answer at the same time. One simple tip is to read the questions before you listen so that you know what you're listening for. It is a difficult skill to master, but it can sometimes help try and predict the type of answer you're looking for. Is it a name, for instance, or a number? 2. Read as you listen. Focus on the whole question. A huge proportion of mistakes are made not because you haven't listened well, but because you do not focus on the question. As you're listening, focus on the precise wording of the question. 3. Look at two questions at once. One difficulty is that the answers to two questions often come quickly, one after the other. Can you get both answers? Maybe, maybe not. But the only way you can is if you are ready for the next question. I did add that it's no problem getting one question wrong. The real problem is if you lose track of where you are in the listening and you are still listening for question 13 when the case it has moved on to question 15. 4. Don't leave the writing to the end. Sometimes candidates leave the writing part to the end, thinking that they will remember what they heard. This almost never works. There's a lot of information you under stress, and most importantly, after each listening, you shall be moving on to the next set of questions to read them. 5. Practice your shorthand. You do not have to write everything that you down. You have 10 minutes at the end to copy your answers onto the answer sheet. So what you need to do is to learn how to write down enough for you to recognize as you're listening so that you can write it out in full later. The, the one exception to this is in part 1, the numbers and names where you have to write everything out in full as you are listening. That is the challenge. 6. Numbers and names. Check your spelling. In part 1, you are almost invariably required to spell names and write down numbers. This looks easy, but it can often go wrong, and the problem is that if you can get any spelling wrong, you lose the mark. Of course, you know the alphabet, but some letters can cause problems, even for advanced learners in particular. For example, J and G, A and E and I. 7. Don't write the answer too quickly. Sometimes you hear what you think is the answer, but the speaker goes on to correct themselves or give slightly different information. So I'll see you on Wednesday afternoon. Sorry I'm busy then. How about Thursday evening? Fine Thursday at 7 o'clock. 8. Don't leave any blank answers. There are two reasons for this. Firstly, your guess may well be correct, particularly if it is a multiple choice style question. Secondly, there is a danger if you leave a blank that you write the answers in the wrong boxes on the answer sheet, and that can be a disaster. 9. Listen for repeated information. This doesn't always work, but sometimes the words that are the answer are repeated. If you need to make a guess, choose the words you hear repeated. They could well be the answer. 10. Look for clues in the question. A frequent question type is completing a table. In this type of question, You will often find clues to the answer by looking at the other information in the table. In particular, look at the headings of the rows and columns. If, for example, the heading says "Equipment" and some of the completed boxes say "paper clips" and "cardboard", you have a good clue as to what you should be listening for. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, new videos every day.